Welcome to the deep dive. You know, we all face those incredibly tough decisions in life, right? The kind that can, well, break you and somehow heal you all at the same time. And sometimes, maybe more often than we think, love. It just isn't enough to build a healthy future on. Today, we're doing a really powerful deep dive into Colleen Hoover's novel, It Ends With Us. You might have heard the title and thought, okay, another romance novel. But let me tell you, this story is way more than that.
Oh, absolutely. It really turns those expectations upside down.
It does. It's this incredibly honest look at really complex things, cycles of abuse, resilience, and just the massive courage it takes to end pain, even when, you still love the person. So our mission today is to pull out the biggest insights, the surprising facts, the deep psychological stuff from a really detailed summary of the book. We want you to walk away feeling like you really get this story, this really impactful narrative. We're going deep into Lily Bloom's journey, her past, her present, all the things that lead her to this huge life-changing choice.
Yeah, and what's really critical here, I think, is how the book makes us face some pretty uncomfortable truths about relationships, about patterns passed down through families, about, well, how our minds work. We're not just hitting plot points. We're going to try and dissect the psychology behind why these characters make the choices they do and what that tells us about bigger issues in society that maybe don't get talked about enough. We're connecting the dots for you, giving you a shortcut to understanding the real emotional weight of this book.
Exactly.
What strikes me, even before we dive in, is how brave the book is. It refuses to simplify really difficult things.
Totally agree. Okay, so let's start at the beginning with our protagonist, Lily Bloom.
Who is she? Well, the story kicks off with Lily, who's smart, she's ambitious, and she's at her abusive father's funeral back in her hometown, Pleasant, Maine. And right away, it's not simple grief. The book says she has these complicated feelings towards him, heavy stuff to start with.
It really sets the stage, doesn't it? That complexity is there from page one. Yeah. And even though she's physically in Maine, her head and heart are already in Boston, she has this dream, this big ambition to open her own flower shop. It's such a powerful image, right? Wanting to build something beautiful, something new, maybe, as a direct answer to the ugliness she grew up with.
It absolutely feels like that, like a deliberate act of creation against destruction.
A longing for growth,
Yeah.
for a different kind of bloom.
Exactly. And looking deeper, Lily's childhood trauma, it's not just backstory, it's like the foundation of who she is when we meet her. It subtly, or maybe not so subtly, affects everything in her adult life. The summary makes it clear she spent years seeing her father hurt her mother regularly and feeling totally powerless as a kid.
God, yeah. Powerless is the word.
Right. And this isn't just a bad memory she thinks about sometimes. It's described as buried but very much alive.
Wow. Buried but very much alive. That phrase hits hard.
It really does. It suggests, even if she's not consciously thinking about it daily, those experiences are actively shaping how she sees safety, how she understands love, what she expects from relationships, often totally subconsciously.
So it's working on her even when she doesn't realize it.
Precisely. From a psych perspective, that kind of chronic exposure to violence when you're young, it can hardwire traumatic memories deep in the brain, in the emotional centers. It messes with emotional regulation, decision-making, stuff you don't even consciously control.
Which explains why someone might know abuse is wrong. Watching.
Exactly. But their body's fight-flight-freeze response, the one learned in childhood, might pull them towards dynamics that feel familiar, even if they're unhealthy. Because familiar, sadly, can sometimes feel safer than the unknown, even if it's bad.
That makes a terrifying kind of sense.
It does. And it sets up this huge internal conflict for her. I mean, how do you reconcile seeing abuse firsthand with wanting, needing, believing in love? How can you trust intimacy when your first example of it was so violent?
It's like she's set up to potentially fall into the very patterns she swore she'd avoid.
That's the crux of it. Our earliest experiences often write the script for our subconscious expectations, even if our conscious mind is fighting like hell against it.
Wow. Okay. So that's the foundation. But before we get into her adult life in Boston, we absolutely have to talk about Atlas. Atlas Corrigan.
Yes. Crucial piece of the puzzle.
He's this defining part of Lily's past. Back when she was a teenager, she had this secret friendship, which turned into this really tender first love with Atlas. And his circumstances were, well, rough. He was homeless, hiding out in an abandoned house near where Lily lived.
An incredibly vulnerable situation for both of them, really.
Totally. And Lily, she showed this amazing compassion. She'd bring him food, blankets, just support, care. Their bond, the book says, was Raw, pure, and rooted in shared pain. They kind of found refuge in each other,
A safe heart.
Yeah. It was this connection that felt clean,
Yeah.
untainted, which must have been such a stark contrast to what she was seeing at home.
Mhm.
It really set a kind of emotional standard for her.
That's a critical insight, the significance of Atlas for her back then. He wasn't just a boyfriend, he was a sanctuary. He represented a connection that was completely separate from the abuse she saw every day.
You saw her.
He did. He saw her, he cared for her, he let himself be vulnerable with her. That created mutual respect, safety, things maybe she wasn't getting elsewhere.
Right.
And that pure connection built on vulnerability, on just helping each other out.
Right.
It established this benchmark for love and trust in her young life. It's the kind of first love that really leaves a mark, sets an ideal for what healthy love could feel like.
Even if she didn't fully realize it at the time.
Probably not consciously, no.
Yeah.
But that foundation, that feeling of love being safe and affirming, it becomes incredibly important later when you compare it to what she encounters with Ryle. It's like this unconscious touchstone she carries with her.
A reminder that something different, something better is possible.
Exactly. Even though that chapter seemed to close pretty definitively. Atlas leaves to join the military. They lose contact. It feels like it's over.
Yeah, it feels like a closed book. But as we know in stories like this,
some connections aren't so easily broken.
Right. So fast forward. Atlas is seemingly gone. Lily's in Boston now. She's making her flower shop dream happen. She's building that new future. And that's when Ryle Kincaid enters the picture.
Enter Ryle.
Yeah. And he's presented as, pretty much perfect on paper. Handsome, incredibly charming, successful neurosurgeon, the whole package.
Ticks all the boxes. Yeah.
Totally. Though, interestingly, he initially says he's got this disinterest in relationships, which, let's be honest, sometimes makes someone even more appealing, right? That little bit of unavailability.
Oh, definitely. Adds to the mystique, the challenge.
But despite that, the chemistry between him and Lily, it's described as instant. Bang! They fall into this passionate whirlwind romance. And on the surface, he seems like everything she could want. He supports her career, he encourages her independence, he makes her feel incredibly wanted, seen.
He sounds almost tailor-made for her at that moment.
Exactly. It feels like this perfect, intense connection, maybe something she's been craving after, her childhood, and then Atlas leaving. He represents stability, success, passion, a future she can finally grab onto.
And if we think about why he's so appealing, connecting it back to her past, it's crucial for understanding why she gets drawn in so deeply and why it's so hard later. For someone like Lily, with her background, witnessing volatility, feeling powerless, Ryle offers this shiny facade of stability, control, and affirmation.
Right. Things she desperately needs.
Yes. He's successful, seems confident, and he just showers her with attention, affection, validation. It's a classic love bombing pattern almost.
Okay, love bombing.
Yeah. And that dynamic can be incredibly powerful, especially if you're trying to escape a past filled with trauma. It feels so good. It creates this intense emotional bond really fast.
And the fact that he supports her flower shop, her dream.
That's key too. It makes him seem like the perfect partner, someone who champions her growth, her independence. It aligns perfectly with what she wants for herself.
So is he hitting all the right notes?
All of them. The psychological pull is huge. He seems to fulfill this deep need for security, for being cherished, that her childhood probably left wide open. It's so easy, especially for someone with her history, to get swept away by that intensity. You overlook the little red flags because the feeling of being wanted is just overwhelming. It feels like finally finding a safe place.
Until it isn't safe anymore.
Yeah.
Which brings us to
Yeah.
the first crack.
The turning point.
It's genuinely shocking in the book. It just shatters that perfect image. One night, Ryle has this sudden, violent outburst.
Comes out of nowhere, right?
Completely. Sudden. Shocking. And then apparently followed by intense remorse. But Lily's first reaction is just horror. You feel it. Absolute shock. And yet, almost in the next breath, she convinces herself it's a one-time mistake, an aberration, something she can just push past.
And that's where it gets so complicated.
Because she loves him, right? She's deeply in love. And that love, combined with what the book calls the echo of her mother's silence, it just tangles everything up.
That echo is loud.
It's this chilling callback to her past, the very thing she swore she'd never repeat. And here she is, already starting to rationalize, trying to make excuses for it.
And that raises such a critical point about abuse dynamics. Why is that first incident so often minimized? by the victim and often initially by the abuser, too.
It's baffling from the outside.
It is, but the remorse factor is huge. Ryle's intense remorse, it's not just saying sorry, it's often this desperate performance almost. Vulnerability, tears, big promises, it taps right into empathy. You want to believe the person you love is the good person, not this other scary version.
You want the remorse to be real.
Desperately. And this pattern, the violence, then the deep regret, the honeymoon phase, it's textbook cycle of abuse stuff. It's designed almost to keep the victim hooked, hoping.
And for Lily, specifically, her past, her mom's silence.
It plays this insidious role. Her mother enduring her father's abuse in silence might have, without meaning to, normalized accepting difficult or even volatile behavior. It's like an unspoken lesson learned.
God, that's heavy. An internalized blueprint.
Exactly. Kids who witness abuse often learn coping mechanisms like minimizing, denial, even self-blame just by watching their parents navigate it. It creates this subconscious script for dealing with conflict. So Lily's predisposed to rationalize, to endure, just like her mom did, even when her logical brain is screaming, no.
So this is where it really starts for her, the normalization.
This is it. Making excuses, driven by love, driven by hope. Desperate hope that this isn't really happening, that the real Ryle, the charming one, will come back and stay.
And tragically, as often happens, it doesn't stop there.
No, it escalates.
The book describes this clear, terrifying progression. The violence gets worse, Ryle's temper, his possessiveness. It says they become impossible to ignore. It's like this slow tightening of the trap, right? Gradually chipping away at her safety, her self-worth.
Mm-hmm. It's insidious.
And after every single outburst, every time he hurts her, same pattern. The apologies, the promises, it'll never happen again, I'll change, I love you so much.
The manipulation continues.
Yeah. And it's this awful, repetitive cycle that keeps her stuck, caught in this devastating tug of war between the man she fell for, the man she hopes he can be, and this terrifying reality she swore she'd escape. Just trapped in hope and despair.
And unpacking that classic cycle of abuse is so important for understanding why she feels trapped. You've got the tension-building phase, right? Where things get brittle, communication breaks down, the victim feels like they're walking on eggshells.
Constantly trying to keep the peace.
Right. Then, bam, the incident, the outburst, the violence, which perversely releases the tension for the abuser, but leaves the victim shattered.
And then the honeymoon phase.
Yeah. Exactly. The reconciliation, profuse apologies, promises, maybe gifts, intense affection, remorse. This is what makes leaving so incredibly hard.
Because it gives you hope again.
It absolutely does, especially with something called intermittent reinforcement. You know, inconsistent rewards like love and kindness mixed with punishment, the abuse. That creates a really strong, resistant bond, weirdly enough. It reinforces the hope that the abuse was just a blip, not the real pattern. That the good person is still in there.
God, the psychological toll of that must be immense.
Oh, it's brutal. Lily's living in this state of constant hypervigilance, always waiting for the other shoe to drop, but clinging desperately to the hope that maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe this time he means it.
It just grinds down your self-worth, warps your sense of reality.
And creates this dependency rooted in trauma. The idea of leaving starts to feel impossible, overwhelming.
Okay, so things are getting really dark for Lily. She's isolated, trapped in this cycle. And then, like something out of a movie, this twist of fate.
Yeah, the plot thickens.
She runs into Alice again, just bumps into him.
After all this time.
Yeah. And he's not the teenage boy she knew, obviously, but those feelings, instantly back. Alice is now a successful chef, owns his own restaurant. He seems solid, established, thriving, radiates this kind of quiet strength.
Oh, what a contrast.
Huge contrast. And seeing him again just brings everything flooding back from her teenage years. He's described as kind, calm, and clearly still cares for Lily.
Oh, I think
his whole presence is just, it's like holding up a mirror to the chaos and violence she's living with Ryle. He's a living, breathing reminder of what love could be, what it felt like before.
And that contrast Atlas provides, it's fascinating and so important. His calmness, his kindness, his obvious care for her.
Yeah.
It acts like this powerful lens, forcing her to see Ryle's behavior differently, much more clearly.
Like, oh, right. This is what healthy feels like.
Exactly. Atlas is the complete opposite of the toxic cycle she's stuck in. He embodies that pure, nurturing love from her youth. He reminds her what respect, empathy, and safety feel like in a relationship, not fear.
And he wants to protect her, right?
Immediately. You see his concern right away. It comes from their shared history, his basic decency, and it's such a stark contrast to Ryle's possessive control.
But she doesn't just leave Ryle then and there.
No, and the book portrays that realistically. Leaving an abusive relationship is incredibly complex, even when a healthier alternative appears. The trauma bond is strong.
So what happens? There's a confrontation.
Yes. Between Ryle and Atlas. And that's a huge catalyst. You see Ryle's jealousy, his possessiveness, his violent reaction, and it's directly contrasted with Atlas's steady, protective stance.
Puts it all out in the open.
It really does. It makes the reality of her situation undeniable, external. She has to confront the difference between healthy love and dangerous control. It's this moment of truth that I think plants a real seed of resolve in her, even if it needs time to grow. Atlas becomes this undeniable benchmark against which Ryle's actions just look indefensible.
That contrast sets the stage for, well, the biggest turning point of all, the ultimate catalyst.
The tipping point.
Lily finds out she's pregnant with Ryle's child.
And that changes everything.
Everything. The book identifies this as the emotional tipping point. Suddenly, it's not just about her anymore. Her survival, her pain. It's bigger now. She has this stark, inescapable realization. If she brings a child into this violent home, she's directly continuing the exact same cycle of abuse that she and her mother went through.
The pattern repeats.
Yeah. And the thought of her own child living through that fear, that trauma, it becomes this line in the sand, something she absolutely cannot, will not allow.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, motherhood often fundamentally shifts perspective. It moves from self-preservation to, like, protecting a legacy. It becomes a generational fight, not just a personal one.
That maternal instinct kicks in hard.
It really does. It's incredibly powerful. For many survivors, the idea of their child suffering the same trauma they did, it provides this unshakable resolve that maybe even love or fear couldn't quite instill before.
It's a different kind of strength.
It's primal. It can override that trauma-bonded loyalty to the abuser. It's not just about Lily surviving anymore. It's about actively breaking that chain of trauma for her child. She realizes for her child to have a different life, she has to make a different choice.
Wow.
That gives her this strength that goes beyond her own pain. Her decision becomes not just self-empowerment, but this profound act of protection. Generational healing, really. It shows how loving someone else, especially your child, can be the biggest catalyst for change.
And that leads her to the decision, the unforgettable one.
It's the hardest one.
She makes the final, gut-wrenching, but ultimately incredibly empowering choice. She leaves Ryle. And this is the part that gets me every time, despite still loving him.
That's the crucial, heartbreaking nuance.
It really is. This isn't a story where the love just dies. It's about choosing a different path, a healthier path.
Yeah.
Because of a deeper love for herself, love for her child, love for a future that won't repeat the past. It's just profound courage, self-respect.
And it forces us to ask big questions about love and boundaries, right? That's so central to the book's message. It shows, yeah, love and pain can exist together. Abuse can happen alongside real affection. But, and this is the key takeaway, it unequivocally says that doesn't mean it should.
Right. Love isn't an excuse.
Exactly. It challenges that romantic idea that love conquers all. Sometimes love isn't enough for a safe or healthy relationship, and the courage it takes to walk away from someone you still have feelings for precisely because they hurt you, and more importantly, would hurt your child. That's immense.
It's the ultimate boundary.
It is. Lily drawing a line, asserting her worth, her child's right to safety, even with a broken heart. It says true love, the healthy kind, prioritizes well-being, respect, safety, above even intense emotional connection.
Which brings us to that scene, the one everyone talks about, where she confronts Ryle and says the words, "It ends with us."
So powerful.
Just lays it out. The generational trauma, the abuse, the silence, all of it. It stops here with her, for her daughter. It's this declaration, this breaking of the chain, reclaiming her story.
And analyzing that title, "It ends with us," as her mantra, as the core message. That's where the book's impact really lands. It's not just a phrase, it's this profound idea about personal agency.
Yeah.
About breaking patterns you inherit.
Taking control back.
Yes, it's a conscious, deliberate, incredibly hard choice to stop a destructive cycle that's haunted her family. It's not just ending a relationship, it's ending this cycle.
Wow, that reframing is huge.
It speaks to the power we all have, potentially, to disrupt negative legacies, to refuse to pass down trauma, to choose a different path for the next generation. Lily takes responsibility not just for her own healing, but for her child's future, making sure they won't carry the same burden.
It's empowerment, generational healing.
Absolutely. A declaration, no more. And that idea resonates way beyond the book, doesn't it? It's a blueprint for anyone trying to break free from inherited pain.
Definitely. And the novel just weaves so many powerful themes together. We've touched on them, but let's maybe lay them out clearly. First, That core tension, love versus hurt.
Central conflict.
The book is so honest about how love and pain can coexist, but hammers home that crucial point. It shouldn't. You really feel Lily's agony trying to square her feelings for Ryle with the harm he causes. It makes you question what love really means.
It really does.
Then, obviously, the cycles of abuse. The way it mirrors Lily's mom's story through her own. It's chilling. It shows how easily abuse gets normalized, even when you know better, even when you've seen the damage.
A terrifyingly realistic portrayal of how ingrained those patterns can be, passed down through actions, silence, subconscious expectations.
Yeah. And then the theme of motherhood and legacy. As you said, the pregnancy changes everything. It forces her to see things through her future child's eyes.
That maternal drive gives her the strength for the impossible choice. It highlights how our decisions ripple outwards, affecting future generations.
And finally, overarching all of this is empowerment. Lily's decision to leave is the empowerment. It's her breaking the chain, taking back her narrative, demanding safety for herself and her child.
And when you weave all those together, love versus hurt shows the need for boundaries and self-worth. The abuse cycle is a stark warning and a call for awareness. Motherhood shows how perspective shifts can fuel incredible courage. And empowerment is the ultimate message. Despite the pain, despite the patterns, you can choose to break free.
It makes the story so layered, so resonant.
Definitely. It offers this blueprint for agency that applies far beyond just Lily's situation.
And the way the story is told is also key to its impact, right? The narrative structure, the writing style.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial elements.
It's told in first person. So you are right there in Lily's head. You feel her confusion, her fear, her hope, her dawning realization. It's incredibly immersive.
You experience it with her, not just observe it.
Exactly. But then there's that unique structural thing, alternating between the present day and her old teenage journals, where she wrote letters to Ellen DeGeneres, of all people.
Which sounds maybe a bit quirky on the surface.
Right. But it's incredibly effective. It gives you this direct line to her past self.
And Colleen Hoover's writing itself, people describe it as accessible, emotional, fast-paced. The dialogue feels real, like how people actually talk, and the pain, you feel it. It's palpable.
Yeah, she doesn't hold back on the emotion.
And that dual narrative structure, the journal entries alongside the present. It's fascinating how much depth that adds. You get the backstory directly from young Lily, her hopes, her first experience of pure connection with Atlas, but also the raw, painful reality of her home life. Often told with this childlike honesty that makes the abuse feel even more stark.
It highlights the contrast and the echoes.
Precisely. Juxtaposing that past with her present struggles lets you see how those early experiences shaped her. Her understanding of love, trust, even what feels normal, it deepens the emotional resonance hugely because you see the patterns repeating, the internal conflict it creates for her.
It tracks her whole psychological journey.
It does. And the accessible style means these really complex emotions, this heavy subject matter, feel relatable, you can navigate it. The real feeling dialogue just grounds it all, makes these characters feel like real people you care about. It pulls you right in.
Which probably explains why this book has had such a massive impact.
Yeah.
It's exploded, hasn't it? Especially on places like Book Talk, Instagram.
Oh, it's been a phenomenon. Huge.
It's everywhere. People who love emotional, character-driven stories just seem to connect with it deeply, sparking so many conversations.
And what does that massive popularity tell us? I think it shows there's a real hunger out there for stories that tackle difficult real-life stuff with honesty, without sugarcoating.
Yeah, maybe people are tired of everything being neat and tidy.
Could be. Its viral nature suggests a kind of communal need to talk about these things. Domestic violence, trauma, breaking cycles. The fact that it provides an honest portrayal without glamorizing or oversimplifying is key.
Especially in the romance genre, maybe.
Exactly. That's crucial. Romance is huge, widely read. Often the darker sides of relationships get ignored for the happy ending. It Ends With Us brings a raw realism that contributes massively to awareness. It makes it okay to talk about these taboo subjects, helps survivors feel seen, maybe helps others understand.
And the fact that it comes from such a personal place for the author? That adds another layer, doesn't it? Colleen Hoover drawing inspiration from her own mother's story, calling it her most personal work.
That gives it an authenticity, a raw emotional power that's hard to fake. When an author taps into lived experience like that, the story often gets this depth, this visceral realism.
You feel the truth behind it.
You do. It moves beyond just plot points into something like testimony. It grounds the heavy themes, makes the characters' struggles feel immediate, incredibly relatable. That personal connection elevates the impact, for sure. contributes to why it resonates so widely.
Now, we do need to be really clear here. This book is heavy, really heavy.
No question, it deals with intense themes.
So content warnings are definitely necessary for you, our listener. The book includes graphic depictions of domestic violence, verbal and physical. It explores deep emotional trauma. There are also discussions around homelessness and child neglect. It's a powerful read, but you need to be prepared for that.
Absolutely. And while those topics are difficult, the reason so many people call the book important is because it tackles them so honestly. It doesn't flinch.
Right. It forces the conversation.
It does. It builds empathy, understanding. For survivors, maybe validation. For others, maybe awareness of how complex and insidious abuse can be.
And just to reiterate our role here.
Yes, important to say. We're conveying the ideas in the story from the summary, impartially. We want you to understand the book's depth and themes, not necessarily endorse every aspect of the fictional narrative itself. We're just exploring the source material.
Exactly. So, wrapping up, why engage with the Cucks?
It ends with us. Well, if you love emotional, character-driven stories that pull you right in, this is for you.
If you appreciate books that don't shy away from tough, real-life themes, told with honesty and depth.
Yeah, and if you want romance that goes beyond the usual tropes, that has heartbreak depth and challenges your ideas about love itself, it delivers.
Ultimately, it's for anyone wanting to understand the psychology of survivors, the nuances of abuse, and the incredible courage it takes to break free.
It's compelling, often heartbreaking, but ultimately there's hope and empowerment there too. It's gotten fantastic reception, consistently high ratings, like 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Which speaks volumes.
And really, it ends with us. It's one of those rare books that isn't just about love, it's about boundaries.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's about knowing when love, even intense love, becomes damaging. It's about choosing yourself. Understanding that sometimes ending something painful, even if it hurts, is the most loving, most courageous, the most necessary thing you can do. For everyone, especially the future.
It's powerful. It's definitely messy.
And totally unforgettable.
So as you think about Lily's story, her journey, that huge decision she makes, here's something to maybe mull over. How do those themes, breaking cycles, setting those non-negotiable boundaries, how do they connect with personal empowerment in your own life or just in the world you see around you? What part of Lily's struggle, her courage, her final choice, what part really stands out to you?